This is the Anyland Rev Pro, a brand new 48 volt to hit the scene that truly stands out from the crowd. And this bike stands out in more ways than one, with some amazing features that might seem scary.
This has the coolest feature in the world, but I'm super scared.
But are totally worth it.
Oh my god, I'm doing it! This is just wild.
Happy bike in a box from FedEx Day. Once again, we have yet another offering in the garage, an all-new offering from an all-new company with all new features. And whether or not all those features are worth it is still to be seen. But first, we have to unbox this and play some adult Lego putting this together. Now, normally in these type of videos, I kind of gloss over the unboxing process because assembly is pretty much the same for all of these bikes and it's not terribly exciting. But with this one in particular, I can already tell that it's going to be so much better because look at it. It's not even out of the box yet, but just look how accessible this thing is. The box sits on top of it rather than coming out from the top. It makes it just that much easier to get this thing set up and going. In actually assembling this bike, it is very similar to all of those other bikes. It comes semi-assembled, so it's up to you to attach the rest. Typically, it's stuff like the front handlebars, the front wheel, attaching the rear shock, maybe some foot pegs, and any other kind of necessary accessories that the bike comes with. I've done enough of these that assembling the bikes are second nature, so I don't really ever need to reference the manual. Plus, most manuals aren't very helpful and are translated very badly, but this user manual is actually really good. It's laid out in an easy step-by-step guide, fully illustrated for those of us like myself who are visual learners and need to actually see it being done. Honestly, it really made the assembly of this bike a pleasant experience, and while we're allowing the battery to charge, we can take a look at the bike in its finished form and see that its appearances are a pretty pleasant experience as well. I've mentioned this before in prior videos, but the styling of electric motorcycles has a wide range and it can go anywhere from the more modern side of things where it's trying to emulate electric bicycles all the way to the more traditional style of things where it's going towards the old school gas-powered dirt bikes that we've known for decades. This bike in particular, I think is solidly in the middle, maybe a little more towards the modern styling, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. It's like it's got the best of both worlds. It's slightly futuristic, but then at the same time it has things that are actually functional, like full-size fenders that you would see on a traditional gas-powered dirt bike. And while a lot of these electric dirt bikes look the same because they are the same, they're built in the same factories and things, this one really does stand out. It's got a modern tubular frame. I think everything is packaged really, really well. It looks premium. It looks amazing. I think it says a lot, not just in the styling of the bike, but in the assembly process as well, that Anyland is really paying attention to details. However, while there's a lot of attention to detail, there's also a few things that have been blatantly missed, but we'll get into that later on.
Because we gotta try it out, of course, so let's see what the Anyland Rev Pro has got to give. Speaking of Rev Pro, I'd say it's got some rev. Pretty solid low-end torque. I think that'll come in handy for some of the features coming up. You know, what I'm noticing right off the bat is just how comfortable this bike is, especially for someone like me. I'm 6 foot tall, so generally it takes a little getting used to on these bikes. I don't really fit that well, but in this case, the handlebars are tall, the foot pegs are low, everything just feels really good. I mean, I'm used to so many of my other bikes where it feels like I'm basically squatting on top of everything. See, it's the details in this bike that's making me love it.
Let's get into some of those more finer details, starting with the ones that I really appreciate. I already mentioned the assembly guide. This was super helpful and I think is really well warranted. Also, things like this, the lanyard that comes on the keys. It's actually branded with Anyland's logo on it and it's made really, really well. It's got this nice little carabiner thing. I think it's a nice touch. Another good attention to detail on this bike is the seat installation and removal. It's 100% tool-free and really fast and easy. There's just one little hand bolt on the bottom here, and then it pops off and you can easily pop it back on and screw it back on. But it goes even further because that screw on the bottom, since it might have a tendency to back itself out, is attached to a chain. So even if it did back out and you were to lose that on the trail, then you're not actually losing that bolt. It's just going to be swinging around. Another down at the bottom of the bike is the kickstand itself. It's actually one of those adjustable ones, very similar to the kind that you get from all the aftermarket companies, which comes in handy because if you want to switch out the tires to this to do something like a big wheel kit, or you want to go smaller like a supermoto kit, then you don't have to worry about this thing leaning too far or not leaning enough that it topples itself over. You can just adjust the kickstand. Not only that, but in the install, it actually came with a kickstand spring application tool, which made it that much easier because putting the spring on the kickstand is the hardest part. Now on to a finer detail that is weird because I love it and I hate it all at the same time. And that's the headlight. First, all the things that I really like about it, that being the looks primarily. This thing just looks really, really good on the bike. Again, with those aesthetics, it's really low profile. And it actually looks like other motorcycle and car headlights where it's cut off on the top and the bottom so you're not blinding people elsewhere. It actually is useful besides some of the other lights that I've seen where it's really hyper focused or super flooded out where everything is just kind of eh. But then we get into the things that I'm not so keen on. This might be another feature for someone else that they really appreciate, but there's a lot of different settings with this headlight. You can have any number of things, not just a floodlight, but there's an amber light. There's, well, some that I probably won't mention, but a lot of different options available. There's also the clunkiness in actually using the headlights and cycling through all those different features like I mentioned. So first thing, when you turn on the bike and then push the power button, you do get a little flash of that and it actually cycles through. So whatever you had last time you were riding, it's gonna give you the next thing in line when you turn on the bike. But then when you do have the bike on and you want this, you'd have to push and hold the plus button in order to get that light. It takes a little while. And then to turn it off, you hit the plus button and hold it again. Then you hit it plus again and hold. And then that gives you the next thing in the cycle. I went through the entire cycle and tried to do this as fast as I can, but it does actually take quite a bit of holding time in order to get there. And if you wanted a very specific one, then it might take even longer to get to that depending on where you are in that cycle. Also, I totally get the need and the safety benefits of a flash, but it seems like with this one, it is really excessive. I could see this being a nuisance even in broad daylight. It's just that insane and intense. I get being safe, but at that point it's more like drawing more attention to yourself, which maybe you don't exactly want. Overall, I like the light concept, but I think it would be nice if there was just a set it and forget it option on the buttons here where I could just be able to turn on and off pretty easily with one click rather than a click and hold, and just get the one that I prefer.
Also with the display, I'll give it credit because it's not like the other ones. All of the other bikes that I've had, they all use the exact same display, and this one stands out. It's different and it looks really, really good. I also like the placement of it because the buttons are down on the side here rather than up top, so it's really easy for me to just be able to move my thumb, click to what I want, and then get back to it. Although that said, there are a few functions on this that I'm not a huge fan of. It does have a little tiny toggle display at the bottom here, but it only shows a couple of things. It shows odometer, trip, maximum speed, and average speed, but I wish it showed a little bit more, like maybe battery voltage, because all I really have to go on is just this little battery display on the top here, and who knows how accurate that thing is. But then there's all the controls themselves, and there's a lot to discuss here.
Well, in adjusting the handlebars and the levers, getting it to my preferences, I almost lost a grip. We'll just tap that back in place. It's quite loose, I'd say. We also got the bar in front here, very nice, very standard, but it's not quite fitted to the bar right here. It's a little big for it. My cat would love this. Then there's also the throttle, which as you can see here is a half twist and kind of a half twist combination with a thumb throttle. So you could have the option for both, I suppose. Although it's kind of clunky in that if you want to use the thumb throttle, then you probably have to have the rest of your hand on the small bit right here so it doesn't interfere with the twisting part. It's a little awkward and probably would only work if you have big hands like me, but otherwise, yeah, it's kind of like it's just there.
Yeah, trying out the thumb throttle option, it's just, it's too clunky. I don't like thumb throttles.
And I know I was really oohing and awing about the assembly and the fit and finish and how clean this bike looks, but there were a few things that seemed overlooked. There's something else that I noticed with the assembly of this bike in the front. If we move the wiring harness out of the way, we can take a look at the steering and the triple trees. Now right here and here are where some bolts should go, and these are normally the stops, basically letting you know the limits to which you can turn left and right. And while there's spaces for bolts, there are no bolts, which means there are no stops. That means the only stop getting you fully from one side to the other is it hitting itself into the frame. It's a little flimsy. Hits the plastic too.
It seems to me that they were probably prioritizing the looks of this bike over the fit and the finish. That said though, the fit and finish items on this bike could easily be fixed with some small updates. And you gotta give them credit, this bike really does stand out amongst all the other bikes in the space. It really does look fancy. This thing is truly like a mini Stark Varg. So the bike also has 3 speed modes, which we've come to expect at this point, a low, medium, and high. And this claims a top speed of actually 34 miles an hour, which given the battery and everything that's in this bike seems surprisingly accurate. It seems like all the other ones try to claim higher top speeds, but they don't actually do that, at least in my testing of everything that I've gotten. Although before we go doing a top speed run, I actually do have to make a change to this specific bike. This is a pre-production model, so mine came in kilometers an hour, but it's really easy to switch to miles an hour. You just hit the plus and minus at the same time until it gets into the menu modes. And then I'm going to hit plus one more time to get to 02p, and then hit the power button, and another plus. That'll change it from kph to mph. All right, here we go. First things first, activate the lie detector, and away we go. So it's got a lot of initial torque, and then it tapers off. It's pretty standard with bikes like these, but it says 33, 34, 34.6, 37, and braking. And that was accurate. We went about 37 miles an hour, and it shows a maximum speed of 37 miles an hour. So not only is the top speed underestimated, but it actually matches. You know, the ergonomics of this bike actually really set this thing up well for cornering. This is just a cornering machine. I can really see this bike turning into some kind of parking lot obstacle course type training bike. It's just so zippy and fun. Holy cow.
But now we have to get into what really sets this bike apart from all the rest. It has wheelie modes.
So this bike has inside of it a Moxon controller, which has a wheelie mode. What that means is it has an angle sensor inside of the controller that detects the angle, so when you pitch up, it's going to keep you at a certain angle and modulate the throttle for you, so that way it's controlled and you're not looping yourself out. And if you've watched any of my other videos, or you happen to be a passerby seeing me ride and give me one of these, you know that I can't wheelie. I've tried once or twice, but honestly, I'm just very hesitant to do so. I'm scared, quite honestly, because I'm old and I don't want to add back pain to all of my current symptoms. But if this promises control, we're gonna give it a shot. So let's put it into the wheelie mode, again pushing plus and minus until we get this P. We're gonna cycle through this until we get to 12p. Hit the power button, and then it's going to blink at the bottom here. It defaults to 0, and then we can choose either 1, 2, or 3. Those are the 3 different angle senses, being 25 degrees, 35 degrees, and 45 degrees. So this bike is not going to make me a 12 o'clock boy, but at the very least, it'll get me to 10:30. Let's start with the lowest mode, 25 degrees. And now it's blinking 06, which, for whatever reason, means we're in wheelie mode. All right, let's give this a shot. If I can even pop it up. Oh! So if you saw, my throttle was maxed, but I did not loop out. Let's do that again. You can hear it accelerate, and then it kind of hovers. That's so weird. Okay, let's try level 2. I don't think I'm ready, but let's just see if I am. Oh my god. That's so scary, but it's so fun at the same time. Oh my gosh. I'm definitely gonna have to play with this a little bit more. Oh my god, I'm wheeling!
Seen with a little bit of practice, at least it kind of looks like I know what I'm doing. Some more stats for you. This bike has a 48 volt battery, 22.5 amp hours, a 3000 watt motor, and 118 foot-pounds of torque. It's about 39 inches tall, 59 inches long, and has a seat height of 27 inches. It's basically the same size as all the others.
One of the other things that I like about this bike and why I think it's so nimble and easy to corner is just the width of it. I mean, look how narrow this thing is between my legs. It's like the width of an e-bike. See, I look like that, right? Not only that, but this bike is super lightweight. It's only like 116 pounds, which is much lighter than those other chunkers I got in the garage. I can bunny hop it. I also got to say the suspension is really good too. That can be hit and miss with these type of bikes. Admittedly, the rear is a little springy, but I do see that there are some adjustments so we can stiffen that up. And the fronts, with that little skid there, it's got some bounce to it and it's got some damping on it, which is really nice. It does not feel like a pogo stick like so many of the other ones tend to.
So for this premium bike, is there a premium price? Yeah, early bird pricing right now is $14.99, so for $100 or so, you could pretend that you've known how to wheelie all along. That's what I'll be doing anyway. But if you're interested and want $100 off your own Anyland Rev Pro, use the link in the description and use code LexDFox at checkout. And if you'll excuse me, I think it's time to hit the streets and join my 1030 boys.